Native Americans, often referred to as the indigenous peoples of the United States, have a rich and complex cultural history that predates the arrival of Europeans by thousands of years. Their culture is deeply intertwined with the land, the environment, and the spiritual world. Despite the significant contributions Native Americans have made to shaping the identity of the modern United States, much of their cultural heritage remains misunderstood or underappreciated. From the expansive plains of the Midwest to the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, Native American tribes have maintained distinct cultural practices, languages, and traditions that have survived centuries of colonization and hardship. Today, with more than 500 federally recognized tribes across the United States, their cultural heritage is more diverse and vibrant than many people realize. Yet, due to historical oppression, forced assimilation, and modern-day marginalization, much of Native American history and culture remains hidden from the general public's knowledge. Let's delve into some of the lesser-known aspects of Native American culture, shedding light on their unique customs, spiritual beliefs, artistic traditions, and incredible resilience in the face of adversity. By exploring these topics, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the diversity and richness of this heritage, and better understand the importance of preserving and celebrating Native American culture in the contemporary world. The history and diversity of Native American tribes. Native American history is as complex and varied as the landscape they have inhabited for millennia. The first peoples are believed to have migrated to the Americas over 15,000 years ago across the Bering Land Bridge, settling in what is now Alaska and gradually dispersing throughout North and South America. By the time European settlers arrived in the late 15th century, Native American tribes had established advanced civilizations with diverse cultures, economies, and governance systems. One of the most fascinating aspects of Native American culture is its diversity. More than 500 distinct tribes existed before European contact, each with its own language, social structure, and traditions. For instance, the Navajo of the Southwest were renowned for their intricate weaving and silverwork, while the Plains tribes, such as the Sioux, were celebrated for their horse riding and hunting skills, particularly in relation to buffalo. In the Pacific Northwest, tribes like the Haida and Tlingit developed a unique maritime culture centered around fishing, woodworking, and intricate totem pole carvings that told the stories of their clans and ancestors. Meanwhile, in the eastern woodlands, the Iroquois Confederacy created one of the earliest known systems of democratic governance, with representatives from each tribe participating in decision-making councils. Despite the broad differences among tribes, there are common threads that run through many Native American cultures. These include a deep respect for nature, communal living, and a spiritual worldview that emphasizes the interconnectedness of all life forms. The relationship between humans and nature is particularly central to Native American belief systems, with many tribes viewing animals, plants, rivers, and mountains as sacred entities deserving of reverence and respect. This deep connection to the land can be seen in the variety of subsistence strategies employed by different tribes, from the agricultural practices of the Hopi and Zuni, who cultivated corn, beans, and squash in the desert Southwest, to the nomadic hunting and gathering techniques of the Great Plains tribes. Each tribe adapted to the specific environmental conditions of their region, developing sustainable practices that allowed them to thrive for centuries. Unfortunately, the arrival of European settlers in the 16th and 17th centuries brought disease, warfare, and forced displacement, which decimated many Native American populations. However, the resilience of these communities has allowed them to preserve their unique cultural identities despite centuries of hardship. Religious beliefs and spiritual practices. Native American spirituality is deeply tied to nature and the belief that everything in the universe is interconnected. For many tribes, spiritual practices are not confined to a specific time or place, but are integrated into everyday life. This holistic worldview emphasizes balance, harmony, and respect for all living beings, and it is reflected in their religious rituals, ceremonies, and myths. One of the most well-known aspects of Native American spirituality is the belief in animism. The idea that everything, from animals and plants to rocks and rivers, possesses a spirit or soul. This belief system fosters a deep respect for nature, as humans are seen as part of a larger ecosystem in which all elements are interdependent. Many Native American creation myths, for example, involve animals playing key roles in the origin of the world, such as the story of the earth being formed on the back of a turtle, a myth found in several eastern woodlands tribes. Central to Native American spiritual practices are ceremonies and rituals designed to maintain balance and harmony within the community and the natural world. Powwows, for instance, are social gatherings that feature traditional dances, music, and storytelling, and they serve not only as a celebration of cultural identity, but also as a spiritual renewal. Similarly, the sun dance, practiced by many Plains tribes, is a sacred ceremony that involves fasting, dancing, and often physical endurance as a way of expressing gratitude to the Creator and seeking spiritual guidance. The role of shamans, or medicine men, is also critical in Native American spiritual practices. Shamans serve as intermediaries between the human and spiritual worlds, using their knowledge of herbs, healing practices, and spiritual rituals to cure illnesses, protect the community from harm, and provide guidance. Among the Navajo, for instance, healing ceremonies such as the night chant involve the recitation of prayers, songs, and the creation of intricate sand paintings to restore harmony between an individual and the cosmos. These spiritual traditions have endured for centuries, despite efforts by European colonizers and later the U.S. government to suppress Native American religious practices. The passing of the American Indian Religious Freedom Act in 1978 was a major step in restoring the right of Native Americans to practice their religions openly. Today, many Native American communities are working to revitalize their spiritual practices, passing down rituals and teachings to younger generations. Art and craft traditions. Native American art is not only a form of creative expression, but also a way of preserving and transmitting cultural knowledge. The art forms of Native American tribes are incredibly diverse, with each tribe developing unique techniques and styles that reflect their environment, beliefs, and social structure. Traditional art forms include pottery, weaving, beadwork, carving, painting, and jewelry making, many of which are still practiced today. One of the most distinctive art forms is Navajo weaving. The Navajo people, who reside primarily in the southwestern United States, are known for their intricate wool rugs and blankets, which feature geometric patterns and vibrant colors. Navajo weavers often create their designs without the use of sketches or templates, relying instead on their deep understanding of the symbolic meanings behind each pattern. The designs often represent elements of the natural world, such as mountains, rivers, and animals, and are imbued with spiritual significance. In the Pacific Northwest, the Haida and Tlingit are famous for their totem poles, tall wooden sculptures that depict animals, ancestors, and mythological figures. These poles serve as a visual representation of the tribe's history and lineage, as well as a way of communicating spiritual and social values. The process of carving a totem pole is a highly skilled craft, often requiring months or even years to complete. Beadwork is another important art form, particularly among the Plains and Great Lakes tribes. Beaded garments, moccasins, bags, and jewelry are decorated with intricate patterns that often hold symbolic meaning. Beads were traditionally made from materials like bone, shell, and stone, but after European contact, glass beads became widely used. Many Native American artists continue to create beadwork using both traditional and modern materials, blending ancient techniques with contemporary designs. In addition to visual arts, Native Americans have a rich tradition of storytelling, music, and dance. Oral storytelling plays a central role in preserving history and teaching moral lessons. Stories often feature animals as protagonists, and they convey important cultural values such as respect for nature, courage, and wisdom. Music and dance are integral to many Native American ceremonies and social gatherings. Drums, rattles, and flutes are commonly used instruments, and they are believed to have spiritual power. The drum, in particular, is often referred to as the heartbeat of Mother Earth and is central to many traditional songs and dances. Dancers often wear regalia adorned with feathers, beads, and other natural materials, and their movements are closely tied to the rhythms of the music, creating a powerful and spiritually charged atmosphere. Food culture and daily life. Food plays a significant role in Native American culture, not only as a means of sustenance, but also as a way of connecting with the land and the community. Many Native American tribes practiced sustainable agriculture long before European settlers arrived, cultivating crops such as corn, beans, squash, and sunflowers. These crops, often referred to as the Three Sisters, were grown together in a complementary system that maximized soil fertility and reduced the need for irrigation. In addition to agriculture, hunting, fishing, and foraging were essential components of Native American food culture. Tribes like the Lakota and Cheyenne relied heavily on buffalo hunting for food, clothing, and shelter. Every part of the buffalo was used, from the meat for food to the hide for clothing and teepees, and even the bones for tools. This sustainable use of natural resources reflects the deep respect Native Americans have for the animals and plants that sustain them. Different regions of the country have their own distinct culinary traditions. For example, in the Southwest, the Pueblo people developed a unique cuisine based on their agricultural practices, with dishes such as blue corn tortillas, piqui bread, and tamales. In the Northeast, the Iroquois and other tribes developed methods for smoking and drying fish and meat to preserve them for the winter months. For many Native American communities, food is not just a physical necessity, but also a spiritual and communal act. Traditional feasts are often held to mark important occasions, such as the harvest or the changing of seasons. These gatherings are an opportunity to give thanks to the Creator and to the land for providing sustenance. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in Native American cuisine, with chefs and food activists working to revitalize traditional foodways and promote the health benefits of indigenous diets. Challenges and survival through time. The history of Native Americans is marked by resilience in the face of immense challenges. From the moment European colonizers set foot on American soil, Native Americans were subjected to displacement, disease, warfare, and forced assimilation. The arrival of Europeans brought diseases such as smallpox and measles, which decimated native populations who had no natural immunity to these foreign illnesses. The U.S. government's policies toward Native Americans in the 19th and 20th centuries further compounded these hardships. The forced relocation of tribes under the Indian Removal Act of 1830, most notably the Trail of Tears, resulted in the deaths of thousands of Native Americans as they were driven from their ancestral homelands to less fertile and more inhospitable lands in the West. In the late 19th century, the U.S. government implemented policies of forced assimilation, with Native children being taken from their families and placed in boarding schools. At these schools, children were forbidden to speak their native languages or practice their traditional customs. This led to a significant loss of cultural identity, as generations of Native Americans grew up disconnected from their heritage. Despite these challenges, Native American cultures have survived and in many cases are thriving today. The late 20th and early 21st centuries have seen a resurgence of Native American pride and cultural revitalization. Tribal governments are working to preserve their languages, traditions, and customs, often through education and cultural programs. Organizations such as the National Congress of American Indians and the Native American Rights Fund are advocating for Native sovereignty and the protection of indigenous rights. The importance of preserving Native American culture. Preserving Native American culture is crucial not only for maintaining the heritage of these communities, but also for enriching the broader American cultural landscape. Native American traditions offer valuable insights into sustainable living, environmental stewardship, and community cohesion, all of which are relevant in today's rapidly changing world. One of the key ways in which Native American culture is being preserved is through language revitalization programs. Many native languages were nearly lost due to centuries of forced assimilation. But today, tribal governments and cultural organizations are working to teach younger generations these languages. Schools in Native communities are incorporating language instruction into their curricula, and immersion programs have been established to encourage fluency among children and adults alike. Museums, cultural centers, and festivals also play an important role in preserving and promoting Native American culture. Institutions such as the National Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C., and the Heard Museum in Phoenix, Arizona, house extensive collections of Native American art, artifacts, and historical documents. These museums not only serve as repositories of cultural heritage, but also as educational spaces where the public can learn about the history, struggles, and achievements of Native peoples. Additionally, contemporary Native American artists, writers, and filmmakers are contributing to the preservation and evolution of their culture by creating works that reflect both traditional values and modern realities. These creative expressions serve as a bridge between the past and the present, allowing Native American culture to remain dynamic and relevant in today's world. In conclusion, the cultural heritage of Native Americans is a rich tapestry of traditions, beliefs, and practices that have endured for thousands of years. From their deep spiritual connection to the land, to their intricate art forms and communal ways of life, Native American cultures offer a unique perspective on how to live in harmony with nature and one another. Despite the many challenges they have faced, Native American communities continue to preserve and revitalize their cultural identity, ensuring that their traditions will be passed down to future generations.